Welcome, Cub Nation. Thank you for joining us again for another conversation with the department chairperson. Joining us here now is Mr. Derek Brown, who is the Theology Department chairperson. Derek, how are you?
I'm well, thank God.
Good. Can you get started by telling us how long you've been at Loyola?
Sure.
How long you've been the chairperson, and then what subjects you teach?
Okay. So I'm ending my 14th year here at Loyola High School. I've been department chair, I think it's going on 3 years now. And so the courses I teach now has really been reduced because of the department chair responsibilities, and also this year I've helped out in campus ministry. So therefore, I really only teach senior electives. I teach Intro to Bioethics, although next year I'm going to be adding a freshman section, Theology 1, and also teaching another new senior elective, Developing as a Leader.
Okay, great, thank you. So you are a deacon at American Martyrs.
Yes.
And can you just kind of tell us a little bit about how being a deacon influences your teaching style?
Yeah, I don't know how much it addresses or affects my teaching style so much as the experience I can bring into my courses is that I am able to share a pastoral application of a theoretical subject of theology. So I can talk about how this particular theology affects an individual's, a family's life in their everyday life. Great. And that's a new perspective. Instead of it just being in the book, how does it play out in people's lives?
Absolutely, yeah. Loyola being a Jesuit institution, theology courses are keystone pieces to our students' experience. So how does your department kind of take on this responsibility?
Yeah, it's a challenge, to say the least, in this way. It is true that our courses are not recognized by the UC system, for example, as kind of the benchmark of it. So that the danger in that is the boys can sometimes take on an attitude that our courses don't mean as much as, say, English or science, social studies, etc. We know that, we're aware of that. And so we have absolutely applied an academic rigor to our department. That's why it's not a religion class, it's not a faith experience. It's a theology class. Just like there's a biology class, there's a theology class. And so the boys are graded on their ability to understand the theological concepts, not their faith experience. It doesn't mean they won't get some kind of faith experience in their life here at Loyola High School, even in our classroom, but our primary purpose is to teach from an academic point of view. Also, although it is true that the grade they achieve in English and science and all of the other courses, the core courses as people like to call them, will get them into college. We believe, and maybe the most important thing we do in our department, is that we help them to understand what they're to do with that information they learn in those courses. It's factually true that some of the most evil people in the history of humanity have been the most educated. So our mission, as well as everybody's mission on this campus, but really acutely in our department, is to really form them into men for and with others, to use that information they learn in the other academic courses to apply it to the common good of all humanity.
Absolutely. And Loyola requires 8 semesters of theology.
They do.
And if you could, kind of go through the sequence of courses from freshman year to senior year.
Right. So simply put, our first 3 years, we simply call them Theology 1, 2, and 3. But within that framework, freshman year, we give them an introduction. The first part, not quite the first quarter, is an introduction to Loyola High School. For some of them, what does it mean to be on a Catholic campus? Some of them aren't Catholic. What does it mean to be at a Jesuit institution? What's Ignatian spirituality? Who is Ignatius? So that takes up the first couple of months before they get to their freshman retreat, which is a big event here. The rest of the school year of that particular year is dedicated to Hebrew Scriptures or Old Testament. Theology 2 for sophomores, we begin the year with New Testament, which melds into units on personal morality and personal decision-making, and then the second semester is focused on Catholic social teaching. Then junior year, Theology 3, the first half is maybe the only religion class that we have, which is called Faith of Catholics, and we go deeper into the teachings of the church, the sacramental life of the church, all of the structure of the church. What does it mean to be a Catholic church? That eventually transitions the second semester into moral theology. Senior year is where it gets really interesting. We have a plethora of electives that they can choose from, of which they have to take one each semester. So they can choose from an Intro to Bioethics, World Religions, a Church History, a Science and Religion, a Christology, a Letters of Paul, a narrative theology, Catholic peace building, and the new course, Developing as a Leader, which is a selective course. There are certain qualifications that the boys have to meet by senior year to qualify for that class.
Yeah, a lot of options there.
A lot of options.
Okay, and finally, you had two sons
Mm-hmm.
that graduated here from Loyola, and I guess if you could offer a piece of advice to parents, and especially incoming parents
Mm-hmm.
of Loyola students, what might that be?
Yeah, so our boys graduated in 05 and 09. One going out, one coming in. It was kind of fun. And I came on board here as a faculty member kind of midstream. Now, we already had a great faith in Loyola High School. We already appreciate everything that they did before I was hired as a teacher. But I would say that the advice I would give is trust the process. Loyola's been at it a long time. And as I said, we loved Loyola High School, the boys did. But once I got hired, I got to see behind the curtain, so to speak. And then I got to understand why our boys were so happy to be here. And I will say this, I tell this to all parents who send their boys here. Your boys will become better men simply through a process of osmosis, almost. By simply walking the halls, by being in the classroom with great teachers, and to being in the classroom with fellow students who are intellectually and personally and morally and developmentally really great people. And so through that process of just being around one another, I guarantee that your boys, I say to parents, will be better men when they graduate. They will be formed, at least on the process of being formed, as men for and with other people. And so you can really trust that.
Great, that's well said. Thank you. So that was an interview with Mr. Derek Brown, Theology Chairperson. And if you want updates and more announcements, you can visit the Loyola webpage at loyolahs.edu. For more immediate updates, you can follow me on Twitter. That's at Loyola Academics.